Have you ever just looked up at the night sky and noticed our old friend, the moon? It's always there, but it never ever seems to look the same way twice. Well, in this explainer, we're going to unravel that celestial mystery and show you exactly what's happening up there.
So this is the big question, right? One night it's this brilliant, perfect circle. The next, it's just a tiny little sliver. And sometimes it seems like it's completely vanished. So what's the deal? Why does the moon look like it's changing its shape? Let's dive in.
This is a puzzle that people have been staring at for all of human history. And the solution, it turns out, is this beautiful dance of light, shadow, and perspective. We're going to piece it all together, clue by clue. Okay, so first things first. Is the moon actually physically shrinking and growing every month? Well, spoiler alert, nope, not at all. The real reason is so much cooler, and it all comes down to two simple but absolutely crucial cosmic facts. Our very first clue is all about the moon's light, or maybe more accurately, where that light really comes from. Because if you understand this one thing, the whole mystery just clicks into place. So here's the thing. The moon is what scientists call non-luminous, which is just a fancy way of saying that unlike the sun, it doesn't make its own light. It's just a giant ball of rock floating around in the dark. So how in the world do we even see it? Well, the moon is basically a giant, dusty mirror. That's it. The only reason we can see it is because sunlight travels millions of miles through space, bonks into the moon's surface, and then bounces all the way back to our eyes here on Earth. And here's the part you really got to remember. No matter what, half of the moon is always lit by the sun. The whole mystery is just about why we can't always see that lit up half. And that brings us to our second and final clue. See, the change we see in the sky isn't actually happening to the moon, it's happening with the moon. It's all about its movement. And boom, there it is. That's the solution to the whole puzzle. As the moon is constantly orbiting us here on Earth, our point of view of its sunny side changes. The phases aren't the moon changing its shape, it's just us seeing different angles of its perpetually sunlit half. It's all about perspective. Now, this full cycle, from one new moon all the way back to the next one, it has a name. We call it a lunar month. It's the moon's complete journey through all of its different looks. And how long does that journey take? Well, on average, it's about 29.5 days. That's the time it takes for the moon to cycle through all 8 of its phases, from where we're standing here on Earth. So, you want to see how it works? Let's take a quick tour of these 8 phases. Seeing them all in order is going to make everything we've just talked about make perfect sense. Okay, but before we start, here are the only 2 new words you need to know. If the part of the moon we can see is getting bigger each night, it's waxing. And if that bright part is getting smaller, it's waning. Got it? Growing is waxing, shrinking is waning. Easy. All right, our journey starts with the new moon. At this point in its orbit, the moon is sitting right between the Earth and the sun. So the sun is lighting up the far side of the moon, the side we can never see. From our perspective, the moon is totally dark. It's up there, but we can't see it. But then, as the moon continues on its orbital path, a tiny little sliver of that sunlit side starts to peek into our view. And that beautiful sliver is the waxing crescent. Waxing, remember, because that little sliver of light is going to get bigger every single night. About a week into the cycle, we hit the first quarter. Now, to us, it looks like a half moon, right? But what we're actually seeing is a quarter of the moon's entire surface. It's exactly half of the side that's always lit by the sun. Next up is the waxing gibbous. Gibbous is just a funny old word that means more than half. The visible light just keeps on expanding, pushing toward the big showstopper of the cycle. And here it is, the full moon. This is what happens when the Earth moves to a position right between the sun and the moon. From where we stand, we can now see the entire sunlit face. It's that big, beautiful, bright circle in the sky, the halfway point of the lunar month. So, after that amazing peak of the full moon, the whole process starts to reverse. We now enter the waning gibbous phase. Waning because as the moon keeps going on its journey, the visible light starts to get smaller night after night. About 3 weeks into the cycle, we get to the third quarter, and again, it looks like a half moon. But this time, it's the opposite half from what we saw in the first quarter, which really shows you just how far it's traveled around us. And finally, we have the waning crescent. That last beautiful little sliver of light gets thinner and thinner each night until it finally disappears completely, bringing us right back to the new moon, ready to start that 29.5-day cycle all over again. And hey, for one last little fascinating fact, have you ever stopped to wonder why our moon has such a simple name? It's just the moon. Turns out there's a pretty great historical reason for that. See, for pretty much all of human history, we had no idea other moons even existed. To us, there was only the moon. It wasn't until 1610 when Galileo pointed his telescope up at Jupiter and saw four little dots orbiting it that we realized ours was just one of countless moons in the cosmos. But by then, the original simple name had already stuck. So the next time you look up at night, you're going to see something different. You won't just see a changing shape in the sky. You'll see the Earth, the sun, and the moon locked in this constant, beautiful cosmic dance. And you'll see your own unique place, watching it all unfold.